Hi, I'm Shay.
And I'm Hannah, and we're international.
Today, we're cooking Moroccan food. So I'll be starting off with a chicken tagine.
And I'm going to be making a kind of flat bread that goes with the tagine called Khobz.
And to round this all out, we would be making a Taktouka, which is a cooked salad. We've not eaten a lot of Moroccan food before, but whatever we have eaten, we really like. So we look forward to cooking Moroccan food for the first time in our kitchen. Let's get started.
We're going to start with the Khobz, which is a Moroccan flatbread. It's a pretty thick flatbread. It's kind of coarse in the middle, not super fluffy. And that's usually served on the side of a tagine. So we'll start by adding our flour into this nice mixing bowl. We have 1 cup of whole wheat flour and 1 cup of all-purpose flour. So bread flour is sometimes best for this, but this is what we have. It should be fine. And now I'm going to mix in 1 teaspoon of salt and 1 teaspoon of sugar and give this a good mix. And I'm going to make a well in the center of the flour. Okay, and I'll pour half a teaspoon of the yeast. This is active dry yeast. I'm gonna add 1 teaspoon of vegetable oil and slowly add the water and mix it in. This is warm water, a little over half a cup. I'm just gonna slowly mix it until everything's well incorporated. You want the yeast to dissolve before you really start incorporating all the flour. So now I'm gonna add the water. Ooh, it's sticky. My hands are clean. Make sure you wash your hands, but hands are really the best tool for something like this since we don't have a mixer. I am the mixer. Nice to meet you. Ooh, this is really nice. You know, it's a Sunday. It's nice and squishy. All right, so we've moved the dough over to a flat surface. It's really starting to look like, you know, a bread dough. But I'm gonna be honest, you guys, I'm not a bread baker in general, so this is kind of new for me. We'll see how this turns out. I think it's gonna be pretty good though. This is actually kind of nice. I feel like this is a good stress reliever. I think people should knead dough every day. I need dough every day. I need dough every day.
You look really pretty.
Oh, thanks. Okay, so I've made this into a pretty nice ball. It's looking nice. I'm actually really proud of this, like really proud of it. So I'm gonna dump this cornmeal onto this baking sheet. You don't need too much. I'm gonna set this here and let it rest for 10 minutes. And then we're gonna come back and kind of flatten it out a little bit. See you in 10 minutes. Okay, so our dough has been sitting for 10 minutes, so the gluten has relaxed a little bit. I'm gonna flatten this down. I'm gonna try to keep this circle. That's the goal here. Oh, it's, you know, I feel like this is working out. You want to press this down to about a 1/4 inch if you can, because it's gonna rise back up. And then when you bake it, it should be about 1 inch when it's finished. But try to flatten this out, you know, not like a pancake, but maybe like a pancake. This is going well. So I've never made bread before, and I think it's cool that the first bread I'm ever making is Moroccan bread. And I've never eaten this either, so I don't even know if it's wrong. Nice. This is looking pretty much exactly how I was hoping it would be. I'm gonna let this rest now for a whole hour, and it should, you know, get nice and soft and fluffy. And then we're gonna bake it.
So let's talk about the tagine. Tagine is one of the most popular dishes originating from Morocco. The tagine derives its name from a container that is traditionally used to prepare these kind of meals. We don't have access to one of these, so we're just going to use one of our flat bottom skillets, which has a lid. You can also use a large Dutch oven. We don't have one of those. Our Dutch oven is kind of small, so we're just going to use our paella plate instead. But tagine can be made in a variety of different ways. You can use lamb or fish or even vegetables. But today, we've decided to cook our tagine with chicken, preserved lemons, and some olives. Let's make some saffron water. So this is some high quality saffron that I got. This thing is like really expensive, so use it sparingly, but a little bit goes a long way. So all you need is like one nice pinch, and this is like half a cup of warm water. Ooh, it's so fragrant. This is very nice. Wow. It's already like a really nice golden color. So I'll soak this for 10 minutes. Don't worry, we're not going to be using this entire amount, but then you can store the rest of this in the fridge for almost a month. We'll probably use some of this for our Iran episode, so wait for that. So let's talk about the second unusual ingredient. As you can see, I have a jar of preserved lemons. So preserved lemons are a very important part of Moroccan food, and it's actually downright delicious. So that's why we planned ahead and preserved this 3 weeks ago. I have uploaded that video as well, so do check that out. It's really simple, and do not skip this. You'd really like it. For the sake of this recipe, we are going to separate the pulp from the skin of the lemons. We are going to use both, but separately. This thing is so fragrant. I love this. This dish is going to be like such an interesting smelling dish because the saffron smells delicious. The chicken, the olives, cannot wait to eat. My mouth is like watering. So I'm just gonna use like a little paring knife for that. So as you can see, I've separated this and the pulp out. I'll spare you the footage, but I'm gonna finish doing this one lemon. So as you can see, I have cut these rinds into like pretty small strips. It'll just bring like a nice pop of color and flavor and smell. And I have reserved the pulp and also cut it into like smaller pieces. Let's build the rest of our marinade. So the marinade for our chicken is called sharmoula. That's such a pretty name, isn't it? It's gonna be like a herby, tasty, oily kind of a marinade, almost kind of like a chimichurri. Or maybe I should say chimichurri is like a sharmoula. I like saying both names. So this is like 1 cup of parsley, 1 cup of cilantro that we have chopped up, just the leaves. And this is that lemon pulp that we got out of the preserved lemons. So this thing is pretty salty, so we're not gonna add a lot of salt. We're just gonna use like about a half teaspoon of salt, but more on that in a second. I have 2 teaspoons of smoked paprika. And then I have 1 teaspoon of cumin and 1 teaspoon of ground ginger. If you don't have ground ginger, you can always like grate up the ginger and add it along with the garlic. And that's what's going in now, the garlic. So this is like 2 cloves of garlic that we kind of grated. And like I said, like a little bit of salt and pepper goes in. That's about half teaspoon of each. And I have about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. I'm just gonna mix this thoroughly. Remember that saffron water that we soaked? Look at that color, it's so nice. So we don't need a lot of that, so I'm just gonna use like 1 teaspoon. And like I said, I will reserve the rest of this in the fridge. So we have about 1.5 kilograms of chicken here. I'm not gonna show you the entire prep, but what I'm doing over here is just making like a gash. And that's just so that the marinade seeps inside the chicken and gets really tasty. We are using drumsticks. We have 10 in number. Feel free to use any kind of chicken. I'm going to make sure that the chicken is well coated with the sharmoula and let it rest for at least an hour. 20 minutes should be enough, but more is better. Alright, so our chicken has been resting for about an hour. So now we're going to set up the tagine first. Let's pretend that we have a tagine here. Like I said, we don't have one of those, so we're just using a paella plate. So all of our chicken fits in there. I'm just gonna liberally pour some olive oil. This is extra virgin. Like a nice quantity. You just kind of like spread it around. And then this is like 2 onions that we just whipped up in a food processor. I'm just gonna spread this around. This onion is acting as a bed on top of which our chicken kind of rests. In a traditional earthenware tagine, there's always a chance of a little bit of burning happening, right? So in order to avoid that from happening, you just make like a nice bed so the chicken can take a nice nap on that because it cooks for a relatively long time. So I've got some pretty even coverage over here. So the only spice that goes in at this point is turmeric. Just like a sprinkle. This is about say a 1/4 teaspoon. I'm just gonna, oops. It all went in one corner. So I guess I'm just gonna have to mix it by hand. So our bed is ready once again. This chicken that we marinated goes on top. I'm just gonna arrange all of these in a pattern. I guess the pattern doesn't matter. You just need it to look pretty for your special guests. My special guest is just my wife. It smells really good. I'm looking forward to eating this. So our chicken has been arranged in there, and as you can see, there's like a little bit of the sharmoula. This is where all the flavor is, so make sure that you get all of the sharmoula and then put it on top. Easy peasy. Like such a super easy dish. I'm looking forward to eating it very much. I feel like I've said it like 4 times already today, but that's how excited I've been about Morocco ever since I marinated those lemons like 3 weeks ago. Once again, do watch that video. It's fairly easy to do, and once you do that, I think you'll always keep some in your fridge. Okay, so I'm just gonna go quickly wash my hands and be right back. My cooktop is at medium heat right now, so I'm just gonna put this on top over here, cover it up, and let it cook for about 20 minutes on medium. We're not going to stir this, we're just gonna keep it like that because we want to keep the bed of onions kind of like undisturbed and get like more toasty than the rest of the chicken. So once we come back in 20 minutes, then we'll lower the heat down to really low and then cook it for another hour or so. See you in 20. Alright, so it's been about 20 minutes. So I'm just gonna turn this down to the absolute lowest temperature. I'm gonna let this cook for another hour or so. In the meantime, we'll make the Taktouka. Let's talk about the Taktouka. So the Taktouka is another Middle Eastern dish that is kind of reminiscent of a shakshuka, but a shakshuka has eggs in it. This dish is rather classically Moroccan. To start with, we have like a roasted pepper. So what I did was I just basically cut a pepper into like slices and broiled it for about 10 minutes, covered it in foil and peeled the skin off. So as you can see, the charred black dark skin has been taken off. It's kind of like a salsa almost. It's really delicious, and I've only eaten it once, but I look forward to eating it again. I'm gonna start cooking these tomatoes. So what we have here is like diced tomatoes. This just came from a can. It's about like a cup and a half. So obviously there's like a little bit of vegetable oil in the medium-high heat pan. I'm just gonna saute this. And I'm gonna add the peppers in there too. So this was like about a pepper and a half, I'm gonna say, 1.5 peppers. Our pepper was kind of large, so I didn't kind of want to use 2 and make it too skewed into the peppers direction. I wanted like a nice balance between the pepper and the tomato. So I've just given this a nice little mix, and I will let this cook for about 5 minutes. See you in 5. Okay, so our pot has been boiling for a good 5 minutes, and our peppers are all soft and our tomatoes are kind of mashing up. So this is the time when you want to add like 3 cloves of garlic. If you like garlic in this household, feel free to use a little bit less because we go through a lot of garlic, guys. And I have here hot paprika, about half teaspoon, half a teaspoon of cayenne, some salt and some pepper, and just a pinch. This is like 1 spoon of cumin powder. I'm gonna give everything a nice little stir. Ooh, smells great. Almost like a salsa, like a delicious, delicious Moroccan salsa. The water is starting to evaporate. We're just gonna let this cook undisturbed for about 15 minutes. We'll be back in 15. So it's been 15 minutes, and as you can see, my Taktouka is looking more and more like a nice dip. So I'm just gonna let this cook for another about 10 more minutes. So the good thing about Taktouka is that this can be served as a hot dish or a cold dish. So I'm just gonna serve this at room temperature while our bread cooks. Looks like Taktouka is ready, you guys. I'm just gonna let this cool a little bit, and once it cools, I'm gonna put in like about 1 tablespoon of lemon juice and garnish with some cilantro and parsley.
Okay, so our Khobz dough has been resting for about 2 hours. I know I said 1 hour, but it just didn't feel right after that one. And now it's feeling nice and kind of springy. I really want to push harder, but I'm gonna ruin the whole thing, I know it. Oven should be preheated to 435. Ours already is. So I'm gonna do 3 slices in this. I'm gonna try my best not to go too deep. Okay, you can't see it, I'll tilt it. I just did 3 little slices. So I'm gonna bake this for 20 minutes.
Okay, so our tagine has been going for about 1 hour undisturbed. I have not snuck a peek, so it's the moment of truth right now. Wow, it smells really nice. Not super spicy either. And I can tell that it's like falling apart. I'm just gonna temp it just to be safe. Oh, 199, 200. Yeah, definitely done. So the minimum temperature you're supposed to hit is like 165. In my personal experience, let it go about 180, 190. That's kind of the sweet spot, at least for me. So I have artichokes over here. These just came from a can. So I'm just gonna tuck these in where there's like a little bit of space. And these are all the extra flavorings that make this thing like real tasty and vibrant. And we also have like a handful of olives. From what I understand, purple ones are also traditional in addition to the green ones. But these are like the pimento kind that we had. So we just like to use what we have rather than, you know, buy a whole new olive. It's so tasty. Just kind of like dot it in everywhere. Hannah likes olives, so few extra doesn't hurt. We like the extra flavor. This is the lemon rind that we had, that we chopped into little pieces. Just sprinkle that around. And I have the juice of one lemon over here. I don't want to use the whole thing. I'll just use about half. We like lemon. So now that we've added all of these things, I'm just gonna let it cook uncovered for like about 10 minutes. Let the liquids evaporate a little bit. And now our tagine is ready to eat.
We can already tell that this is going to be delicious. And the bread worked out, guys. It's very nice.
Yeah, it's like really nice and pillowy. Smells really nice. I'm just gonna dip it. Dude, the chicken, I really like it.
Is it good? Okay, I've got to try it. So good. Kind of spicy, right? Just a little bit.
And the chicken's really tender too.
Then the preserved lemon, you can kind of taste that. It's like this rindy, is that a word? Rindy flavor.
Yep, this is delicious. And the lemon really stands out. Like, I mean, it's very lemony. Not just the smell, the taste. I mean, it's a nice, fresh, herbaceous, really tasty meal.
Yeah, I like Moroccan food. And I've never had it before. So this is new. Very good.
And I think you really did a good job with the Khobz. It's a really nice bread.
Yeah.
Congratulations on joining the bread family.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so we're gonna finish eating this. Make some Moroccan food, guys. It's delicious.
Yes.
See you.